Blake, you just got back from YCS Vancouver. How'd you do?
I did pretty good. I got top 8. Really kind of wish I could have gone further this time because I also got top 8 at nationals. But I am beyond excited to have gotten to have done so well at the event. Kind of every time you go in there, you're hoping like, yeah, I hope I can just top. And then when you get to that top cut, you just want to keep going further. But I'm going to keep improving, and I'm hoping to get further the next time and eventually get a win for Edmonton. Okay. So I'm going to save the shoutouts for the end this time because I feel like I have so many people I want to shout out. So getting into the deck profile, we played Kashtira for this event. The only two real options for me were Kashtira or Unchained, which are, everyone kind of knows, are the two best decks. But I didn't really have a super ton of time to test because I had family in town for the last 2 months before Vancouver, and I'd put so much effort into learning Kashtira for nationals. I felt like it just made sense to keep playing a deck that I thought was good, that I was already good at. The third kind of option was Flunder, because I think Flunder had an absolutely insane matchup against Unchained. Just like all the interactions Unchained does don't really affect Flunder at all. But I didn't want to take an event that, a deck into the event that could be kind of like even more bricky than Kash. So we just stuck with Kash. It got me there. I got the top 8. Not too many other people got the top with Kash. I don't know if that was because of low representation or because it just didn't do too well. But really, through all my rounds until top 8, I had very little issues with the deck, and I wasn't struggling. I beat all the Unchains I played. But I didn't play any Kashmirs, not a single Kashmir throughout the entire event, so that was kind of interesting. I think there just was really low Kash representation for this event. But yeah, the deck's still fantastic. They need to hit it on the ban list. But let's just show you what's going. So this video is for East Coast games, and I'm the West Coast favorite player for East Coast games. So we'll start 2 Kashtira Unicorn, 3 Fenrir, 2 Rise Heart, Scareclaw. Everyone knows these ratios. You don't need to play 3 of this. You wanted to play 1 of it when Unicorn was at 3, so this is just to kind of keep the amount of monsters viable for drawing with Theosises and stuff. The field spells to get to them with Terraforming, of course, 3 Birth, 3 Theosis, and Big Bang. This is just the standard engine. Nothing new there. Prosperities. Then for the utility spells, I played 3 talents. Absolutely insane in the mirror match, so I wanted to have it in there even though I didn't play any mirrors. But a lot of people are just blindly throwing a hand trap at you right now. Like, you get hit with a nib, you just get to rip the best card out of their hand, which makes your and all the knowledge of their hand absolutely insane. A lot of the times people ash a unicorn effect and you can still play, and then you just talents rip their hand, the best card of their hand. You know exactly what to play around the next turn, and it's just so punishing to get hit with any hand trap that doesn't make you completely pass. And then going second is fantastic. So it's really the only card that I play that's only good going second if you don't get interacted with. But that's totally fine. It just had so much versatility of a card, and I was fine with it filling a slot as a 3 of. For defense, played 3 Forbidden Lance. I'm not main decking Blizzard for this event. The reason for that is I thought Pearly would be more represented. And Forbidden Lance has this crazy unique effect where against Pearly is also already an offensive card by not letting them overlay into Noir when they use the trap. So you have to play 3 of this in Kash. It just makes sense, especially when everyone's playing 6 Book of Moons and multiple talents in their deck. You just need a card like this to protect your monsters. And when your monsters resolve, you just win the game every time. 3 Book of Moon, no Eclipse in my deck. I don't want to book my monsters when I go first, and I think that's just simple enough. If there's an argument for Eclipse, I think that's for in the side, but I just couldn't find space for it. It wasn't the kind of card I wanted. I love the versatility of this being good first or second, and I thought there'd be more mirrors, so I wanted to play this card, but potentially, if I knew I wouldn't play as many mirrors, this might not have needed to be in the list, but it's still fantastic against Pearly, and I played like 3 Pearlies throughout the event, and I beat all of them, so kind of glad I had it. And then into the hand traps, main 3 Shifter. I didn't play 1 mirror, so this card went absolutely insane all weekend. It is so good. This card needs to be banned because it just does things that are completely unfair and broken. And then 3 Ash Blossom and 3 Imperms. I thought it would be a super wide format. I wasn't sure what I'd play against, so I wanted Ash and Imperm because these hit everything you'll play against. It deals with every it'll always have some kind of value. So game 1, I'm kind of hedging my bets that I'll at least be able to trade with everything I want to trade with, and then let my Kashtira monsters play. You may not do something super effective like an enemy controller in the mirror, but I didn't want to risk enemy controller being a card that bricks me against other matchups that is not super good against. Like, some people say it's good against Unchained. I'm sure it can be. Like, you'll summon a Kash monster, but then if you like chain Econ to an effect, take a monster, and you don't have Birth, you're just not playing anymore. Like, you're not summoning any more Kashtira monsters, and that's why I really only think Econ is always useful in the mirror. So I just didn't play that. I just played cards this time that I thought were useful no matter what. That's all for the main deck, 40 cards. For the extra deck, that's where things get a little-ish spicy. A Rise Heart, double era, this is super standard. This is your bread and butter. You love this guy, he does everything, he's a custom card. Then we played the Utopic package. This is so good. I played it at Nationals, and I played it today. I played it at Vancouver, and it does everything for you. Everybody's maining 3 nib, or at least siding 3 nib. And what you do is when you go to Era, you banish Big Bang with a Rise Heart, summon the Fenrir off, overlay those 2 into a Dracosac, then you overlay Dracosac and Era into Utopic, and then here they have to nib you, or you get into this, which protects your board from a monster effect. And then if they nib you on this, you go Birth, summon back Fenrir, pop an Arise on the board, and now you still have an Arise through a nib, and if you have Talons, you get to rip their hand after, get a second material on this, and know what to play around to take the best card out, take the Talons out. It's absolutely insane. And like the alternative is like Era Fenrir Rise Heart, which is like cool, but like F-Zero is a monster effect negate that can't be destroyed by battle or by card effect. Like, this card is just so good. And like your end board of Utopic Rise Heart, it's not bad. Like, you're not consolidating power by going this instead of Era Fenrir. So I'm making a board that I would argue is more powerful or as powerful as the regular board, but doesn't lose to nib. And I just don't get why other people won't pick this up. I did it in my last deck profile, and I don't see people playing this at all anywhere. Now, maybe that's why people don't want to play Kash anymore. They don't want to build this board that just instantly gets scrubbed by nib. And I totally understand. So that's why we play F-Zero, because it's fantastic. And then you play against like Dragon Link, and they nib you on Utopic, and then you just Birth summon back Fenrir, plop this on the board, and like with their 45 to 50 card deck, that was the only non-engine they drew, or God forbid we draw Lance with it, or Talons, and we just rip the other card that deals with the Rise, and then this trades with the whole game. And especially when you attach the Big Bang later, you're gonna get to summon the Fenrir, so then it's like if they're trading with your board like you want them to, you're gonna get the Fenrir anyways that you would have gotten with the Era. And then you never even have to worry blind game 1 about, do I use Era effect in standby phase into the mirror? Because it doesn't matter. And then like all these people are teching Fenrirs in their deck, so they summon Fenrir, and that just outs your whole board. The second they search or try to banish, F-Zero, negate, take the Fenrir. Cool, it's my Fenrir now. Fenrir's fantastic, I'll use it again. And it's just such a good card, and like this card's single-handedly why I think Kashtira is still playable. I would never play with just a Rise passing unless if I had to. If I dueled you this weekend and I did a Rise pass, it's because I opened Big Bang, which I feel like I did a lot. But if you didn't open Big Bang, this is always the line, and it's so good. That's for the end board. The utility cards are going to be Big Eye, Dark Arm. These cards are awesome. Dweller, kind of interesting. So if you can go Rise Heart, like Rise Heart, then Theosis on Fenrir into another Rise Heart, or stuff like that. You just don't make them 7, overlay them into a Dweller, pass. When you play against Unchained, wait until they put any card on the board so they can't imperm you, and then detach this, and just they have to trade infinitely into your Fenrir to even get a presence on the board. Everything they do is super mid after that. If they don't open the DDD like contract, it's just so bad. And even if they do, they can't like really play into you, especially if you have like other cards like a Book of Moon set. The Dweller is just like a really cool line. It's basically I'm playing Gravekeeper's the Gravekeeper spell without actually needing to play it in the side. Double Zeus so Unicorn doesn't rip it. And then Baron, Luster Soldier. In testing this came up, I never actually got to use it during the event, but basically if you can Unicorn, look at their extra deck and rip Tear of the rip Goddess of the Underworld. If you can like Talons their monster, take this and go to 45, they just don't have an out to this if you don't play into Talons. So that's there's like a second alternate win con. It didn't come up for me, but we have so much free space, I might as well. Donner never came up. And then Goliath, this is my one attach from Prosperity. I used to also play Entis, but I replaced it with this. But against this never really came up either. It's mostly just Goliath against like runic decks, and I guess Unchained now. That's enough for the extra, and then for the side, I'm a firm believer that with Kashtira, after siding, you want your non-engine to do the heavy lifting for you, so that you can just get your Kashtira monsters to go plus $1 billion. So I'm playing board breakers again. Duster, double lightning storm, and triple evenly. Logic for this, like I know none of these cards individually trade with the entire Unchained board. But like if you look at Pack's list from Brazil, that list terrifies me. Like we're looking at 6 Book of Moons and then 4 Karma Cannons. So that's like 10 Book of Moons. And you just can't play into that. That's an unplay intoable. So you need to have cards like these to clear all that back row so you can let your Kashtira monsters do what they do best, and that's go plus $1 billion and trade with their board. I know like Battle Phase is really good for Fenrir, but if you could just banish everything face down, you're feeling so good. And if they like do the plays where they pop their stuff to trigger Yama, then they play into Thrust, which gets you to the Lightning Storm or the Duster, anything else you need to clear the board afterwards. 3 Thrust is fantastic. In testing against Kashtira mirrors, I'm playing 6 talents because I'm playing 3 Thrust, 3 talents, and every time you draw a talent in the mirror when their board is wider than just a Rise with a Lance, you literally just win the game because you take everything, and it's so strong. Oh yeah, one more funny interaction with why F0 is so good. If they go talents take and you have a lance, you lance your F0, they have to take your Arise. Arise mandatory effect to attach. You detach this and take the Arise back. Nice talent. Like it's so good. It's like this. It's how you play around these huge board breakers that scare so many Kashtira players, and it's really the only way this deck is still playable. But yeah, Thrust is insane. It gets you to every one of these cards. It gets you to talents. It gets you to take. It gets you to Theosis, it gets you to Terraforming, it can even get you to Prosperity to try and get to deeper cards. Like, it's basically just every single card in your deck. It's extenders or breakers, which I love. And then this, Herald of the Abyss, it's basically just for Pearly, but you can also kind of side it in against other stuff. In a grind state against Pearly, a guy had a 9 material Noir, and I had to bait him to use the effect with Scareclaw. He used the effect, and then I had used the effect in the main phase, so I didn't just start popping all his back row with a Dark Armed. And then he also did the same time to pop my Scareclaw back in my deck. I activated Talons, drew 2 into Thrust, into Herald of the Abyss, and sent the whole 9 material Noir to the grave, so that felt really good. And that was in my round 9 matchup. So this is all the breakers. This is how you basically win going second. Like all these go into almost every matchup. Pankratops, this card just trades really well into every board. It trades really well into Unchained because it forces them to use Rage in main phase or Trap in battle phase, and then this just trains with that to pop another problem, like pops the Caesar on the board. So yeah, it is really good. It's just super free to trade with like 2 interactions with any Unchained board. Or like you could just summon it against, it's also one of the only ways to beat anti-spell without having to commit to playing a bad card like Cosmic Cyclone that doesn't do too much normally. And then for protection cards, 1 Blizzard and 3 Judgments. Judgment has to be at 3 because it's your only way to not lose to evenly matched, which can trade with everything you set. It did protect me from an evenly matched, so I'm super glad I had it. 1 Blizzard, still doing the same things, still negating talents, still negating Book of Moons. It's really good when you go first. Anytime they use a spell, you negate it and it gets banished off a Rise. It does not go back to their hand. If I could play a 16th card on my side, this would be the next card. I'd love to have like 5 of these more protection cards to go in with the Lances. But I really felt like every card in my side here was absolutely necessary to not lose to like Karma Cannons and people's sides for going first. So I had to kind of trade with some of my protection for when I go first, which I think is correct ultimately, but like Blizzard's a really good card. And the other reason why it's not my main anymore is there's a lot more traps in the meta. Like at Nationals, you'd get hit with a Book of Moon by the mirror, and you'd chain Blizzard, and then their Book of Moon would get banished, so it's almost like you're playing this as a Lance that doubles as a twice as broken going first card. But now there's like Rescue Ace, they set 2 traps. Unchained is setting trap pops. Like you can't guarantee they'll have a spell going first that will interact with you, so you don't want this just to be dead in your hand when you go second. But I'll still put it in going second into the mirrors because I'm expecting the books, and it'll banish off their own Arise. Yeah, so that's really good. That was the deck. I went, got 5th place after Swiss. I went X1. I kind of bricked in the one match I lost on the feature, but I also didn't really play that one super well. I lost to XYZ Encore because I drew a unicorn with, what's it called? With Big Bang, so I couldn't make the F0 line, so I just lost to XYZ Encore, sadly. But it was a fun match. Ryan Yu's a really good player anyways. My shoutouts. First of all, I'd like to shout out my girlfriend, Shayla Nguyen. She's my biggest supporter. She helps me go to all these events and she shares her luck with me every time, which I love. Eventually we're gonna get 1st place. Common Box Games, best locals in Edmonton. All the guys from Halifax, I love them all. All the guys I test with in Edmonton, all the guys who run Common Box and all of our friends there. Anyone who came with me to Vancouver that I stayed with, they were all fantastic. And big shout outs to Brad and Royal for actually topping the event with me. It felt fantastic to have all of us there, and it was so cool to watch all of us succeed for so long. Thank you.